got bright rosy cheeks and a fluffy white beard with marshmallow walls and a big red chair. Santa's coming to town.
Oh, hi! Welcome back to Santa as a Podcast. This is where we share stories and laughs and talk about all kinds of stuff at the North Pole. And I'm so glad that you've joined us again. And this week, we've got a lot to talk about, but first, we've got to jump into all the fun and excitement that's planned for today. We're going to take a merry moment, and we're going to look back at last week's riddle. You know, each week I give you a riddle. I want you to think about it. And when you're coming to the new visit with me, I'm going to give you the answer to the riddle. So here's last week's riddle, and I hope you got the answer to it. You leave me out with milk at night. I'm crunchy, sweet, and such delight. What am I? Did you figure out what the answer is? You got the answer? Yes, you're right. It was a cookie. Yes, I love cookies. And of course, you guys leave out cookies for me, and I know it's a wonderful act of kindness and of love, and I really do appreciate it. Now, we'll have another riddle for you when we get ready to finish up today. But in the meantime, we got to move on to some fun facts today. We're going to be talking today a lot about questions that you ask Santa. And that's one thing I get a lot of. I get a lot of questions. Usually you're asking the simple things, but how many reindeer do I have? And, is Rudolph's nose always red and things like that. But we have other difficult questions, and we're going to get into some of those as we move on today. But I wanted to give you some unique facts, okay? Number one, Santa's elves who help me. Now, I never always had elves. When I started doing some things for children, it was St. Nicholas, did it, and then he taught me and other Santas how to do it. But basically what we did is we would make toys. So if we would make a dolly for a little girl, or we would make a little boat, carve it out of wood for a little boy. So we always made the toys like that. It wasn't until later in the Nordic countries where we met the elves. And the elves were little people who did all kinds of wonderful work, and they made clothing, and they made shoes, they danced and sang and things like that, and they were very magical. They could hide in your house and you didn't even know they were there. And sometimes the elves would actually watch the children and then report back to the parents if the children got into mischief while the parents were gone. So elves did a lot of the really neat things, and then they met me. And we ended up working a partnership where they helped me out by making more toys, because as the world grew, there were more and more children that Santa had to get toys to. So the elves have helped out on that. Now, the idea of these cheerful helpers kind of was spread in the 1800s, but before that, I worked kind of solo on everything. Now, elves are masterful, very fantastic people. They multitask and do so many things. They make toys. They take care of the reindeer. They test the games. They invent the games and toys. Then, of course, they wrap everything, okay? They sort it all. They put it into the toy bags with your name on them, so I know what house and who it goes to. So they do all these wonderful things to help me make sure that when I deliver on Christmas Eve, I get the right toy to the right child, to the right house. Yes, it's great. Now, Chatter Snowglitz, you know her? Okay, she's our reporter. She reports on things from, the square. Well, she was once a toy inspector. She inspected all the toys, and she found her true calling when she started giving updates in rhyme. Yeah, she's a very talented person. So we'll get to her in a little bit, because she'll give us a report on what's going on, okay? But we even have a team of holiday helpers, elves, who travel around the world in the off-season. Now, everybody thinks that I'm the one who checks on everybody on who's naughty or who's nice. Well, I can't do it alone. I need the elves to help me. That's why some of you have an elf on the shelf in your house, because that elf reports back to me whether you've been in trouble, what you've done good, and things like that. So I always know what's going on in your house. The elves are very good at checking on everything. You just have to watch out. Sometimes they like to sneak in the refrigerator at your house and take a snack. But otherwise, they're really good elves, and they do get around and check everything magically, come back to the North Pole, and they make sure my records are up to date on whether you've been naughty or whether you're nice. They tell me about good deeds that you've done, so we can add that to the list and make sure that we know what you've done. And of course, that also helps our spirit meter go higher and higher when the elves report back and tell me all the good things that you've done. So checking on Christmas spirit with kind deeds and all that, they report back to Santa. Makes it great. Well, those are facts that kind of jingled my bells a little bit, and I couldn't do Christmas without my elves. And now I want you to take a little moment and listen, because we're going to go over to Candy Cane Square, and we're going to the latest from Chatter Snowglitz. Go ahead, Chatter.
Thanks, Santa. Well, snowflakes and sleigh bells, I'm Chatter Snowglitz reporting live from Candy Cane Square, where the snowflake forecast is 100% magical. Let's see what's happening today. The elves in the toy shop are ahead of schedule, thanks to Tinseltoes jolly managing. Way to go, Tinseltoes. Mrs. Claus treated the team to peppermint pancakes for a thank you. She always has the best treats. In Elf School, they are hosting Teamwork Week, featuring snowball relay races and a Build-A-Bear Buddy Day. Sounds like fun to me. The wrapping crew set a new record with 1,200 perfectly tied bows in one day. Wowzers! Way to go, wrapping crew. Just like Santa always says, every helper brings magic in their own way. And boy, are there lots of helpers around here. Well, reporting live, where the glitter is always glitzing, it's Chatter Snowglitz jingling out. Back to you, Santa.
Thank you, Chatter. That was a great report. The sun is shining right now. The sleigh bells are ringing. We have so many things going on. But I thank you for that report. And right now, I want to go on to talking about those questions that children ask, because they ask me different things all the time. Now, they don't always, ask me about the reindeer, but let me go down a little list of questions that I've got here that came from all of you. Some of you actually went to the website, this website here, to Santa Has a Podcast, and you put your questions there. So I'm going to try to answer them for you. Hopefully you like my answers. You better, because this is special here. Here we go. Are all the gifts made at the North Pole? Well, just about all the gifts are made at the North Pole. Now, some of the gifts you might find under your Christmas tree really aren't from Santa. They might be from Mom or Dad. Maybe they got a gift for you. But the elves are pretty good at making all kinds of gifts, and just about every type of gift imaginable. From action figures to remote-controlled cars to dolls to Hot Wheels to wooden toys to baby toys. The elves make them all. And then, of course, they know how to package them and wrap them and put all those beautiful bows, on them. So that makes it kind of nice. How does Santa get down the chimney if it's really small? Well, sometimes there's magic that makes me kind of shrink down and I can go down the chimney. But if I'm lucky, I'll have my magic keys with me and I can get through the doorway. So I'll skip the chimney and go through the front door, because it's a lot more comfortable and I don't get my suit too dirty. Okay? Here's another question. Why doesn't Santa always bring me what I ask for? Well, the answer to that is sometimes Santa doesn't bring you what you ask for, but he'll bring you something you need or something special, okay? Now, sometimes children ask me for things that are electronic, the iPhones and tablets and things like that. Well, Santa's magic is toys, and that's the important thing. I make toys, and the elves make toys. We don't generally make a lot of electronic things. And if you're getting a phone or something like that, guess what? You have to pay for a phone line. That means Mom and Dad have to be involved. So what I try to do is I try to invite the mommies and daddies, if the children are ready for a phone or a tablet or a computer or something like that that has to be on the internet or connected to a phone line, I let the parents take care of that. And then, of course, if there are bigger things, like some children want to have like a four-wheel drive car that they can drive out in the woods and things like that, I also leave those up to the parents. Because again, Santa's magic is toys. I love toys. I'll always make toys. So that's what I do for all of you, toys, okay? Let's see. Is it possible to get presents even if I have not been good? Well, Santa believes that all children, all of you out there, you've been good. Now, yes, sometimes you have a bad day, right? You have a problem, and you're worried you're going to be on the naughty list. But remember what I've said before. have more good days than bad days. Bad days are down here, good days, big list, way up here. More good days than bad days. You'll stay on the nice list, and you're going to be in line for getting the presents that you want for Christmas. Does that sound like a deal? So again, more good days than bad days. That means more good deeds, more acts of kindness, those special things that we use to put onto the spirit meter, okay? Can Santa Claus read children's thoughts? Well, I can't actually read your mind. That's why I ask you to write letters to me. That's why I invite you to visit with me, and I'll ask you what you want for Christmas, because sometimes I can't read your mind totally. I can, though, through my magic and through the elves' magic, we can feel, we know whether you've been naughty or nice. We know whether you've been good, whether you've been bad. So we know those types of things. But the exact details as to what type of toy you want, or the color of the toy, or things like that, those are things you have to tell Santa in person, or you need to write a note to me to tell you what you want. Okay? That's how it works. It's that simple. How does Santa visit every house and make it around the world in one night? Well, you know, that's one of the magical things about the world. For example, when you're in the United States and it's daytime, if you go all the way around to the other side of the world, over to Europe and those parts over there, it's nighttime, okay? So I will start delivering toys at nighttime in Europe. And then as I finish in Europe and come around and the daytime comes to Europe, guess what? It's nighttime in the United States. So I get actually 2 whole days to deliver everything. Plus, there's the time. You know, Santa moves so fast. Remember, the other day I mentioned the fact that Santa's sleigh goes 1,800 miles per second. You know, that's so fast to go around the world and deliver to everybody. Again, we move faster than anybody else, faster than the speed of light. It's just a wonderful way, but that's the magic of Christmas. That's how we can get to all of your homes. Okay? Let's see. Can people go to the North Pole? Can I come and visit you at the North Pole, Santa? Well, you know, Mrs. Claus and the elves and I do like to see all of you, and we like to meet with you and talk with you. But having you come to the North Pole makes it difficult. Number one, how are you going to get there? There's no direct flights. There's no trains. There's no roads that drive up there to get to us. The only way you can get there is magically through a Santa's sleigh or one of the special sleds that the elves run, you know, to move things around with the reindeer. So you're not going to be able to get up here. The other thing is, we're working so hard that we don't want to stop making toys. We don't want to slow down making toys. So if you came up to visit, we'd have to stop to say hello, maybe have something to eat and talk, and again, it slows things down. So that's why we come down to you and visit with you when you find Santa at the mall or at some location like that, where I can talk to you and find out what you want for Christmas and things like that. Do I wrap all the presents myself? Well, I don't wrap the presents. I let the elves wrap the presents. But you know, one of the things that happened a couple of years ago, the elves thought it would be neat to lighten their load. You know, they work so hard. They wrap thousands and thousands and thousands of presents. And it gets to be difficult to get all the presents wrapped on time with the ribbons and the labels and everything else. So a few years ago, a whole group of elves started a new program, and they started calling on the parents. Yes, the elves have been calling your parents. Sometimes they ask your parents whether you've been on the nice list or the naughty list. Yes. Did you know that? Yes. And then the other thing they asked the parents, can you help us wrap some of the presents? So the elves get the presents and they do a little early delivery. They don't let you know. It's all done by secret, so you're not going to find out. But the thing is, then they let your parents wrap some of the presents for them. And it saves a lot of load. You know, I don't have to deliver it on Christmas Eve because it's already there. But again, this is part of the magic that we have going on. So I don't have to wrap all the presents. The elves don't have to wrap all the presents. We get the parents to help us out with just a couple of them. Most of them we do, but sometimes we get the parents to help us out a little bit. Okay? Now, the last question I've got here for this right now is, what happens if someone wakes up and sees you? Well, you're not supposed to wake up. You're supposed to be in bed and sound asleep when I arrive so I can get in the house and get out quickly. But if you were to catch me, I probably would have to stop for a few seconds, okay? And it's not really to open up presents or anything like that. I want to give you a hug. I'd like to let you maybe take a picture with me. You know, that would be, you want to record the moment that Santa's been there visiting with you and everything. And then what I'll do is I'll give you a present and I'll ask you to open it. And while you're opening it, I'm going to take off because I have to get to the next house. Okay, I can't stay too long. But again, really you're supposed to be in bed and asleep. But if you do catch me, I will stop for a moment, give you a hug, and take a picture. Is that a deal? Okay, great. Well, it's good to talk to you and about your curiosity and all the questions that you have for Santa. And I know all of you have more questions than imaginable. So if you have a question I haven't talked about, you can go to the website, Santa Has a Podcast, leave your question, and maybe we'll get to it on a later podcast and answer it, okay? So you're welcome to ask me any question you want. And as I've always said, if I don't have the answer, I know I can talk to the elves and they'll help me get the answer, okay? Let's see what else we got going on today. Oh, do you like laughing? Do you like joy? You like happiness? You like to giggle a little bit? Well, guess what? It's time to go check out with Rudolph and find out about Rudolph's joke of the day. So, are you ready, Rudolph?
I'm ready, Santa. What do snowmen eat for lunch? Icebergers! What is an Arctic wolf's favorite time of year? The Christmas holidays.
As always, Rudolph, you slay me with your jokes. You know, every week I love it. You know, holidays. Oh, my goodness. That is so funny. Okay, guys, it's time to peek into Santa's mailbag. And it's time for mailbag magic, okay? And let's see what we've got here today. Remember, these are our notes and letters that you've sent to us or you've posted on our website that come to you from our website. And you send in so many of them that our website, again, got bogged down. But it's up and running. It's still good. So you can add more questions. Maybe we'll get to your question next time. I see lots and lots of letters, and I've got 2 letters for today. So my first one is from Dylan. He's 8 years old. And here's the letter. Dear Santa, I cleaned my room. I helped my brother, and I didn't complain when we had green beans. Okay, I would love a robot that can do a silly dance. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, if you've been good and you've been, doing your good deeds and being nice, it sounds like you're listening to your parents when they ask you to eat your green beans and you're helping your little brother. That's kindness. That's really wonderful. Let me see what I can do, okay? Remember, Santa's magic is toys, but I'm going to tell you one thing. I am going to surprise you on Christmas morning. You're going to love your surprise, okay? I got another letter here. This is from Isabella. Isabella is 7 years old, and she says, Dear Santa, all I want for Christmas is a unicorn or a llama or a sparkly Christmas sweater. I'm okay with either, but I've really been good. Can I have one? Well, first things first, Isabella, remember Santa's magic is toys, okay? So if it was a real llama or a real unicorn, nope, we don't have those at the North Pole. But we do have stuffed animals, a stuffed unicorn or a little llama, something like a pillow pal. We have those types of things for you, which is kind of neat. And a sparkly Christmas sweater, that's a lot easier on the list because we have some elves that make fantastic clothing. Before the elves made toys for Santa, the elves used to make shoes and clothing for people. And so they're really good at making things like that sweater and stuff like that. And I know you've been really good. Just keep being kind, doing good deeds, and keep our spirit meter going up, okay? Thank you so much. And now I think we've got a couple, somebody did an audio recording. They left a message on our website. So let's hear one of our messages on the website.
Hi, Santa. It's me, Lily. What's your favorite Christmas song?
Oh, my favorite Christmas song? Well, I love all types of songs and everything. I think the most popular one I've liked recently was, All I Want for Christmas Is You, Mariah Carey, because I got to actually be on stage with her and get to, sing and dance to that song. But I love Jingle Bells. And what I love the most? I love when we sing in a group, when the family's together or all the children together, when we can all sing a song together. It is so much fun. And so those are my favorite type of songs. There's so many of them out there. Do you have a favorite song? I'd like to know that. So next time you send me a note, tell me what your favorite song is, okay? Those were great letters and questions. I really enjoy getting those. And again, you can always send me these notes and questions and things like that. santasapodcast.com is where you can send them. Let's quiet down now. Because remember, after we talk about the letters and things like that, we always kind of get quiet here in the podcast. And get very, very quiet because we're going to listen for the spirit meter. So let's listen for the meter. Okay, be very quiet. It's getting louder. I love it. Oh, my goodness. It's so good to have the sound of that spirit meter going. And again, every day we hear the meter and it gets louder and louder. That means that you're doing good deeds, that you're doing kindness, you're doing things for other people. And that is caring, and it's just wonderful. And it makes the meter go higher and higher. Remember, our goal is to make that meter have so much power in it and so much kindness and joy inside that we have tons and tons of spirit to get Santa's sleigh around the world on Christmas Eve, to get to all your homes, to deliver all the presents to all the children, because that's what we're really trying to do here. So keep doing good things, keep doing good deeds, and you will get that spirit meter to its highest level ever. I mean, better than last year, better than the year before. We want it to be the highest level ever, okay? Okay, so good deeds. Now, last week you talked about good deeds, and the good deed I asked you about last week was, would you hold the door open for someone? And I know some of you, in fact, I think just about all of you followed through on this. You held the door open for someone else, for your parents, your mom or your dad or somebody when they were going in and out of the house, when you were at school or someplace like that. So many of you did. I had some of you, immediately after I told you about opening the door, you went and held the door open. Now, again, there has to be somebody going through the door first, though, okay? So you're holding the door open for someone else. Just opening the door doesn't count. You have to hold the door open for someone else, okay? But all of you were really trying very, very hard, and that made it great because our meter just kept going higher and higher and higher. Now, let's see. We have to have a good deed for this week. We always have a challenge each week. So this week, I want to give you a new one. And this new one is kind of simple. It's a little bit like what we talked about the other day. We talked about setting the table or clearing the table or something like that. But this one is about doing one of your chores. How many of you have chores out there? Many of you I know are given a task, Maybe you have a puppy dog, and you're asked to pick up the puppy's toys or maybe even clean up after the puppy. That's an important chore for some of you kids, okay? Some of you, your chore is to take the trash out at night, after dinner, and take the leftovers and things out and take them out and put them in the trash can. Those types of things are chores. And the nice thing is to do it without being asked. Don't wait for mom or dad or someone to tell you that you've got to take care of your chore. Do it on your own. That's the special, special thing that you can do. Okay? So that'll be your good deed for the week. Do that, and we'll see how well our meter is doing. Okay? Are some of you already starting on this already? Okay? Well, you remember you got the rest of the podcast, so I don't want you to go too far away from the podcast. Okay? But remember, try to do a good deed and do a chore without being asked. Okay? Now, moving on, let's see. Our spirit meter, we know, is rising. It's doing very, very well. And it's now, I guess we're at the end of our podcast for the day. It's time to go. But before we go, I have to give you my regular riddle. Do you like the riddles? Have you enjoyed all the riddles that we've been doing, and have you been able to guess the answers to them? By the way, if you have your own riddle that you think I could use, go to the website and leave your riddle. Maybe we'll use it on one of these, these little events that I'm doing here. So here's today's riddle. You ready? Okay, listen up very closely. I live up at the North Pole. I work with cheer, making toys as Christmas nears, in red and green with pointy shoes, I help make magic. Who am I? Okay? Can you guess that one? I'll bet some of you already know who it is or what it is. Okay? I'm going to repeat it again one more time. Here we go. I live up at the North Pole and I work with cheer, making toys as Christmas nears. In red and green with pointy shoes, I help make magic. Who am I? Okay, if you know the answer, save it to yourself, okay? Because next week I'll give you the answer to that. It's a really popular one. I like that one. It's kind of neat. So keep spreading the joy and kindness, everybody. And I'll talk to you next time here on Santa Has a Podcast. Ho, ho, ho!
Santa's coming, Santa's coming.